All right, guys, we're here with our 5th episode of Puro Pinche Real Estate. Today we got some more guests than usual. We're usually on a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 basis, and this time we brought out the whole troops, and they're going to introduce themselves, and we're going to get doing it, and we're going to talk about some stuff about real estate, stuff about life, and just honestly, just how we are, how this industry works, how we see the industry. A lot of us have been in the business 10 plus years, and I think they're going to bring some great info, so I'm excited. We'll start off with Jeff with his intro, and then we'll kind of work around the table.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Garza, broker-owner of Redbird Realty. We are proudly independent, have multiple offices across the state of Texas, and sponsor nearly 200 real estate agents, so we dabble a bit in real estate.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work. I guess I'm up. Am I up?
Nice.
All right. Cesar Amezcua, CA Company Realtors. Been in the business for 17 years. Born and raised in Mexico, and been all over Texas, and now we're here.
What city in Mexico?
Piedras Negras.
Yeah,
there you go.
Piedras Negras, Coahuila, Mexico.
Vámonos.
Yeah. 16 years and decided to bolt. And the West Side was good to me. The West Side was good to me. St. Anthony was good to me. Now we're back home. We've been back home since 2010. So
Awesome. Ronnie, what you got?
Hey, what's up, familia? My name's Ronni Treviño, the founder of Resi Realty.
get closer to the microphone.
One of the fastest growing
There you go.
brokerages in the city.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm a husband, a father, and a Latino just here grinding in San Antonio. Here to talk about things getting real in our industry, and just here to chop it up with you guys on Puro Pinche Real Estate today.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Awesome. So Gilley Mendoza here. Have a small real estate team. My wife and I work together. Been in the business together for both about 12 years, and we are all in on real estate. I'm very passionate about it. Transitioning a lot to the development side. So excited for that next chapter. But I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Hell yeah. So one thing that I heard in the intro is a bunch of chingos of experience. You know, I think that's one thing that this table brings, and I think the viewers and people listening want to know a little bit what, you know, just to kind of start off the questions. What would be one piece of game you'd give in? What's the one piece of game you'd give to a young Latino trying to break into the real estate? And I say Latino because, as you guys know, historically, you know, the real estate industry really is not, there's not a Latinos to bring in with, there's not a lot of top producing Latinos to be in it. So what's one advice that you guys could...
Find me one on TV.
Yeah, right? They're very rarely, yeah. And I mean, I think it's something that it's changing as... we were today at Champions Real Estate School, and it felt good seeing a lot of young, you know, Hispanic, you know, guys and girls out there just wanting to get in this industry. It's an industry that's forever been dominated by, you know, older white males. And I think us kind of coming in and you know, making a little noise, I think it goes a long way. So what would you give an advice as far as, you know, someone trying to break into the game straight out of high school, college? I mean, what do you guys see?
That's a great question. Actually, someone asked me that today whenever we were at the career fair. And my response was just be unapologetically yourself. We're Latinos, and it's already in our DNA where we can work our asses off. And as long as we have that and we can be consistent, and we can surround ourselves with leaders who have done it before and professionals who can show us the way, then nothing can stop us. If you can just be consistent, be unapologetically yourself, surround yourself with winners, and just do it over and over and over again. Don't let up. You got to keep grinding, because if you stop, then success doesn't come.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Jeff, what you got?
I would almost echo that. I would tell anybody who's young and trying to come up in the game, thinking about becoming a real estate agent, who just became a real estate agent, I would tell them to be authentic to who they are. And I would tell them to throw away the remote control from the TV and to try to stop playing the whole, selling sunset, agent. I mean, It's one thing to be professional. It's another thing to be professional looking and all that other good stuff. But people will know when they hear you and see you, and they see you speak and they hear what you're talking about, they're going to know whether or not you know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah. And so the one thing that I think a younger agent does wrong sometimes is try to act like they know everything. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm not sure I can have the answer for that right now, but let me get with my broker, or let me get with my office manager, or you know what, let me call my lender partner, let me get a little bit more clarification on that, and then I'll get back with you, right? So ultimately, like I think one of us, all of us here would imagine imagine that we've probably said at one point in our career, we wanted to be the source of the source, right? We're not going to know everything about lending. We're not going to know everything about roofing. We're not going to know everything about every single inspection. And so having good referral network, referral partners, and professionals that we can lean on, that's part of the job.
Yeah.
That's part of being a professional that people respect. So you don't have to be everything to everyone. Like, you know what you know, and gradually you're going to continue to grow that storybook, and you're going to be able to grow that history and that reputation and the experience, right, ultimately. But I think agents need to stop trying to be something they're not.
Yeah. Something that ties right into that is you make your money doing the things that nobody else wants to do. Plain and simple. You know, everybody wants to do whatever cool fad is going on right now. What do you think is a fad that's going on right now that all the agents are like doubling down on?
Dancing.
Dancing. Dancing on TikTokers and Instagram reels, and the more videos you pump out, you know, that's not really what gets you, you know, to the closing table. It's grinding out and doing all the things that nobody else wants to do. You know, open houses, you know, sitting in at a builder's office for 8 hours a day. You know, cold calling, you know, all the dirty stuff that we did back in the day, that's what gets you to the closing table. That's what fills your pipeline. If your pipeline is not full, then why are you making so many videos? Like, that's not going to fill your pipeline. It's going to give you some shady leads.
It's because videos of us doing shit that requires grit doesn't look sexy.
That's true. I mean, imagine a reel of me doing cold calling, like, hello? Oh, no? Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, I will go fuck myself. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
You know? So, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, how do you guys think, how does being Latino influence?
Hold on, I think the Manimal has something to tell
I
me.
do want to add to that, right? Because I think the question was a piece of you would give to a Latino trying to break into real estate, right? I think one thing is, we're in America, which is phenomenal, right? Yeah. It's the land of opportunity. I think race doesn't necessarily play a factor into it, right? I think if you look at the historic data, to Rob's point, right, there isn't a lot of Latinos that have paved the way and made it, right? Could it have been tougher 40 years, 50 years, 30, 20 years ago? Absolutely. May it be a little bit tougher now? I think yes, potentially in some capacity, but I do think it's a pretty even playing field, right? So for those of us that come in without that limiting belief and say, hey, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to do the right thing every time. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. Like, I won't be outworked, which, to Ronnie's point, I really do feel like that is in a Latino-Mexican DNA, right? Like, we're just built as workers, right? But we're built as workers. We're not necessarily, like, trained and taught as leaders, right? Like, it's like, just go work. If it's work, I'll put, like, not to get into the race thing, but Latino work all day, every day, and they'll work their ass off and they'll work very hard. Right, but it's just the lack of information that we have. So for us that are pioneering in education, resources, right? Like, my kids might have a totally different opportunity than I had when I first got into real estate. I couldn't think of one person that I knew that I can go to and ask for advice. Not one. That whether it was a family member, a friend within my network. If my kids choose to get into real estate, that's a totally different opportunity discussion now, right? If my grandkids get in, that's going to be totally different. Yeah.
When we got in, it's that Mexican boxer mentality. You just you just go forward.
Well, you didn't know what you didn't know. Forward. You just knew to work.
Yeah, you
right?
just move.
Yeah, but do you think that's a reason, like, a lot of us, and I'm not ashamed of this, that it took us so long to get where we are. You know, it's unfortunate, whatever. Everyone always says, like, oh man, you guys have done so much good, but I mean, 20 years, that's a long time. Yeah. When someone else, I feel like, could have got into the same level where we're at in 5 years.
We've seen it.
Having like he said, like, having someone to go to. That's
resources,
crazy. I never
mentorship. Like, if Damien came to you and said, hey, Dad, I want to become a real estate agent, right? Or, Dad, I want to become a developer, you'd shortcut him by 20 years.
It's
right.
Easy. It's crazy.
Right. So now that, I mean, you've put in the work, you've built that, and that's part of building a legacy. We'll probably end with that, but yeah.
I'm going to add to that real quick, because you just said something that truly, in my entire career in real estate, I've never, ever thought about until you just said what you said. My dad was a long-time retired state employee, a social worker, basically, right? Long-term care, worked with the disabled and the elderly all of his life, okay? On the state side, okay? And it's funny, as you were talking about that, as I was coming up as a child, even through college, I know my dad didn't know a single realtor, which is really interesting, because now my children today, Their dad knows brokers, owners, developers, investors, company owners, right? That sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
like
totally different.
What we can do in one generation, right? When we have the forefather, right? You know, that loved one who was willing to be the cotton picker 50 years ago, because my family did pick cotton.
Yep.
And I know they did it for a reason. I was just telling this, I don't know if it was to my wife or one of my staff members. I was just saying what they did to lay the groundwork for us to be able to use as a catapult. And it's up to us not to screw it up.
Yeah.
And I tell my kids all the time, your number one job in life is to not take my last name back.
Mejora la raza.
Does that make sense? You cannot take this last name backwards. Yeah, and if people don't understand that, or people want to say, oh, you know, you're trying to be something you're not or whatever. No, I want my children to be something I never could be. You know, and it has everything to do with having a seat, like literally and figuratively, at the right table with the right people.
Correct.
You know, I want to be at a table and I want to have a seat, and you earn a seat, which I think we're going to allude. We're about to blend into some of this. Yeah. But you know, kind of going back to that young agent, I think I know what my advice would be now. Earn your fucking seat. Earn your seat at a table that has a bigger conversation and has bigger ideas with bigger doers. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
So earn it, because all the videos doesn't give you entry into that club.
No, it doesn't.
You know, all the reels doesn't give you entry into that club. And so as I'm thinking about this, I'm like kind of teaching myself right now. I'm like, you know what? Earn it. Earn your spot, because everybody here did.
Yeah.
I think one thing
have you ever been underestimated or dismissed, you know, in the business, like especially in this town, where I mean, we started a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, I go back as far as 2010. You know, Rob, what?
2007.
I mean, the game was being ran by. Yeah, the game was being ran by a lot of different players. Like, did anybody ever just like, who is this kid? Like, what's he doing?
You know, really early on, I voiced my vision to people, and I was always told that there's no way that you're going to be able to make that happen. You have no idea how hard it is. What you're talking about, it's just too hard. And I had to just, I think, alluding to what you said earlier, right? Like, why does it take so long?
Yeah.
I had to just put my head down and grind and not pay attention to anyone. So people who told me I couldn't do it, I had to just block them out. And I had to kind of just put my head down and work really hard until I got the result to say, okay, now I can stop and turn back and say, look, I've proven myself. Now I'll just build my own table.
Yeah. No.
And it's funny how they use, because I started with a big name company when I first started, and they always scared you with like E&O. To turn out E&O's a fucking, you make money off E&O as brokerage.
Dude.
It's
E&O,
crazy. But they
in-house attorneys, legal.
Like
you could never do this on your own.
Never. Property management, fuck.
Super liability.
You'll be
most
out of
litigious,
in a year.
most litigious category in the world. Stay away from that.
Yeah, but it was one of those. I felt like people did that to keep you out. Like it was literally like a fucking mafia, and it ran for so long. Now I'm so glad, because like I feel with social media coming out, like a lot of people are able to voice their opinions, because before it was in person. Literally, it was in office meetings. It wasn't shit like that, and all of a sudden, like, hey, you know, this guy is let's shy away from him, you know. But in social media, you could have your own platform nowadays, so you could spit out whatever the fuck you want to whoever you want, and you can.
Somebody will listen.
Somebody will listen.
Somebody will listen.
And it's not even your information; it's AI's information, right? So like that is something to think of for agents coming in, right? Like what could take somebody 10 to 20 years of knowledge experience. Now they can get it literally like in 6 months, right? Not them grinding personally, but all the information from AI. Right, the IQ I think of AI is like 150 or something. I think Elon Musk is like 154, somewhere around there. Like they say AI will be like an IQ of 400.
Damn.
In 6, I think it was 6 or 5 years, something like that.
Big shout out to Grok.
The tools that are available.
Big shout out to Grok.
I haven't used Grok. Is it good?
Grok is awesome, dude. Grok is great.
Grok.
Grok. Yeah, Grok is great.
No, the tools that are available to everybody that's in the game, starting or whatever, they're right there, man. You know, I mean, our real estate people will appreciate this. I was working on an owner finance addendum the other day with an agent, right? They were like, hey, can we get creative? And I'd like to kind of like demonstrate what it could look like if they decided to own or finance, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. So we went and looked at the document, you know, and our addendum in our library as realtors is not very, it's very light,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And so I was like, you know what, let's go play with with AI and let's prompt it, right? So I put in a ton of data, put in a ton of points, right? Interest rates, final payments, late payments, forced, foreclosure, blah 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 blah, right? And put in all these data points, and I'm like, go ahead and create this in this state, blah 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 blah. And when I pressed enter, it created, actually, because I've seen multiple in my career, it created the most beautiful addendum to an owner financing addendum. I was like, holy smokes, this is gorgeous. For me, as a broker, I was like, it covers every base.
Yep.
It covered everything. Like that, people are going to say what they're going to say, but that saved a $750 attorney sit down
all day.
So funny
you know what I'm saying? If we're being honest,
Yep.
I was okay. I was like, this is strong.
Dude, it hit me the other day.
is strong.
So I was telling you guys how long it took for us to kind of get going. We never getting into this business. Vanessa and I never got mentored. We never did coaching. We were always approached, the core. There's all these different coaching. We never did it. For us, Mexicano mentality, it's always it's a scam.
Yeah.
It's always a scam. It's always a scam. It's a scam. It's always a scam. But no,
it's a pyramid.
We finally, it's a pyramid scheme. We always took we actually took the jump this past year, and we it's not even real estate related. It's a business coaching program, and we have one-on-ones, and they do Zoom videos. They're in different parts of the world, whatever. And a lot of them
drop the name.
Pinnacle Global Network, dude. They're legit. They've done a lot of big companies, and it's something that the shit that they do is mind blowing. But and it's really helped us. We've been with them for a year, and it's catapulted us for sure. But when one of the sessions where I was doing with my mentor, he was going off, and we're kind of going. I asked him a question, and he would glance. It's a Zoom call, so you see when you're in a Zoom, they glance to their left. They're obviously looking at their other screen, whatever. After a while, kind of ask him like, "Hey, is this questions?" He's coming back with good fucking responses. He's like, "Oh, hold on, I'm just typing it into AI to see what it says." And I'm like, "This fucking puto, I pay you all this money to." But then he explained it. He's like, "Rob, sometimes you gotta understand, you're not in the right mindset. You're not asking the right stuff. So if you get at creating prompts and asking the AI, it's going to give you better responses than any coach, than
better the prompt.
and any prompts, because you could be in the business for 30, 40 years, and if they catch you, I don't know, after a day at Niosa or some shit, you're not going to be able to
I'm about to blow your mind. I'm about to blow your mind. You ready for this?
Yeah,
you can ask AI to help you create better prompts.
Yeah.
So if you have a prompt, you can put it in
get
there.
a better prompt.
Yeah, and ask AI hey, use this prompt and create a better form of this prompt.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, do it again. If you don't like it, do it again. If you don't like it, do it again. And it'll just keep on going and going and going and going. Yeah. It's the craziest thing. And that's how, some of the stuff that, some of the systems that we've implemented.
I think it's crazy how all this technology is integrating with real estate, but at the end of the day, it's still a relationship.
100%.
Totally.
What experience do you guys have as far as what can you give? And I like giving the younger people some sort of something to take away from the podcast. You have these guys here, chingos of years of real estate. What one thing as far as building relationships, because that's something that we're all big on. We've been to your client appreciation events, freaking 100+ people. Jeff obviously has got to follow. Everybody's got their own, following, and it all comes from building relationships. What is something that you guys could say, hey, this really worked for me, or this didn't work for me? Because sometimes, knowing what didn't work goes, longer than knowing what did work for you. What's something that you guys could say really,
One big thing is that, people they just want to be taken care of at the end of the day. People just want to be taken care of. And, this leads to another one of the questions that we have. But we are fiduciaries.
Yeah.
We have to, first of all, we have to teach the word, okay? The F word. You have to teach fiduciary. Mm-hmm. You have to learn fiduciary. You have to learn to be a fiduciary. And there's a lot of temptation in not being a fiduciary and just getting that commission check.
I don't think I've heard fiduciary that many times.
Are you a track instructor?
I'm a Trek investigator. So with
one more time. There you go.
Really? Yeah. That's a little late, no? So, with the fiduciary, you have to act that way, and you have to teach it, and you have to coach your clients that, hey, I'm doing what's best for you, because a lot of them have blinders on. They have no idea. This is going so fast, their head is just spinning. It's just going. I just want the keys to my house. But if you teach them everything that you did, they're like, wow, dude, I didn't know you worked so much. I didn't know you did so much for me. And then they appreciate that. But you have to teach it. If you don't teach what you're doing. So, for a younger generation, I'm like, First of all, communicate. Learn to be a fiduciary, number one. Number two, communicate that to your clients and tell them, remind them, like, oh, by the way, we did this. Yes, I made sure you had the best rate. I made sure the HOA was clear. I made sure the title was clear. I made sure that.
So how do you? Is it like a text message? Is it, or just in general? Like,
it's just. I mean, you have
conversation.
You have to be able to have a relationship with the client. You have to be able to sit there and make friends with them and be a chameleon. And if they are, an older white man that was in, Vietnam, you have to find a way to relate to that gentleman and get along. Like there's got to be some things you have in common with them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like a lot of times we as agents feel like we have this absolute need to get in there and talk as much as we can to our client. And I've learned over the years that, and we're talking about like, have things not worked for you? Well, me trying to talk about everything that I know didn't work for me. So whenever I realize to take a step back and just listen to people and keep my mouth shut and really listen, then I can truly understand how to solve their issues. Yeah. So for me, to get deep into the relationship is to really listen to who I'm working with. And I feel like over time, when you become a better listener, you get to know your client or who you're working with better. Yeah. And not just your client, but at the end, they end up becoming your friends or people that you do life with.
In other words, just learn to shut the fuck up.
Learn to shut the fuck up. Because
it's key. It's key. I'm not kidding.
Does AI talk back to you?
Nope.
No.
It listens.
AI listens.
It listens, and you can ask it as much as you want, and it'll listen to you.
Yeah. If you just
learn a lesson from AI.
Yeah. Soak it in and act upon it.
Yeah. I'm a big believer. To go to the question, basically, I'm a big believer in two things. I'm a big believer in every agent, right, real estate person that can get something from this. They need to be doing a disc profile. They need to know their personality. Okay. Most of us have what we would call like quirks and intricacies, right? Whatever fill in the blank term that you want to use. Yeah. But those are not quirks and intricacies. That is the blueprint of your personality, right? And so, for those of you that know this, that are listening, there's D, I, S, and C, right? D is the driver, the decision maker, the ramrod. I is the talkative person, the life of the party, never, the chatty Cathy, never shuts up. Mm-hmm. And then the S and the C are like deep.
Why is everybody staring at me?
and then the S and the C are deep thinkers, right? They're deep thinkers and they're very process driven. They're very checklist driven. They're very loyal. They're amazing team players, right? They don't want to take the lead, but they'll support the mission, right? So D, I, S, and C. So I think the first thing is, if you're going to be a business owner, operator in real estate, you need to know your personality, because we've all heard probably on one book, one podcast or something where they're like, hey, don't hire your exact replica, right? Mm-hmm. You need to be able to hire someone else that brings a different talent and a different skill set than you do, so now you can service more people, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem is that most people that are in real estate, truthfully, they don't care to slow down to take the time to investigate self. Yeah. So understand who the hell you are. Understand if you're a D or an I or an S or a C. You can be super uber, professional and productive and successful, no matter which version, if you're doing things that line up with your skill set, right? And I tell agents, young agents especially, or struggling agents all the time, because there's a lot of in the business struggling agents, right? They don't have to be just new, okay? Yeah. So I tell people who are struggling or who want to hit another level, I'm like, look, if someone told you that cold calling is the key to success, they're a fucking liar. And the reason that I'm so passionate about that is because unless if you know the pupil's personality, you cannot implant or force what worked for me in my golden age on you. Oh, yeah. And so, like, I tell people all the time, if you are scared to cold call, stop. Don't do it. But you better replace that activity with another activity that does work for your skill set, aka your personality style, right? And then the other thing that I would add is that I am a believer for all these entrepreneurs, all these real estate professionals, in a very short amount of time, very quickly, pretty swiftly, do all the things. Do all the things. Try to cold call. Yeah. And trying is not like for 10 minutes. Like, try for a week. And then go to door knocking. offer CMAs, offer whatever the hell your stick is going to be. Door knock for a week. Then kill it with open houses for 3 or 4 days or 3 or 4 weekends, and figure out which one worked for you, which one didn't, which one you liked, which one you didn't, which one you absolutely hated, and then come back to the drawing board. Because I do have a problem with people who are like self-proclaimed like business coaches per se, who have never done the damn thing. I have a problem with that.
Don't even get me started.
You know what I'm saying?
That.
So what I'm trying to say is like these agents who are seeking the next level or the breakthrough, right? Then test all the things, know your personality, and then go sit down with someone smarter than you, please. Whoever you respect, whoever you admire, whoever has a proven track record, right? Like I tell my agents all the time, if you're going to approach me and you're going to want to work with me I'm the buyer, you want to work for me, I should be able to audit your social media to see that you are an agent who's in this business every single day, right? And so the reverse is true also. I want to know more about self, and I can tell what you're doing based on what you're doing, And so I guess the last part I'll say is when, I talked to an agent recently and she was telling me, she's like, man, I said, how's it going? And I mean, relatively for all of us, I mean, things are starting to get much better than they were the last 2 years. I mean, so gradually things are getting better, right? Market conditions, et cetera, et cetera. And she was just like, I don't know. She's like, the last 3 or 4 months, it just really hasn't been that good. And that kind of shocked me. And I'm like, why do you believe that? And she's just like, I just don't know. And I said, well, show me your calendar. Oof. And she's like, ouch. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, show me your calendar. She's like, well, what would be there that would give you the answer? I said, all the answer. I can tell what you stopped doing or what you didn't commit to if I look at your calendar. Like, let's check it out. And so sure enough, we went through the whole concept of like time blocking and repetition, right? You don't get the gains that you want in anything that you try to do by doing it one time. Absolutely. That's not going to work in this game. So I'll shut up there. Yeah.
You gotta be consistent.
I want to add to that because I think the cliche thing is, right, people work with you because they like and trust you. And I think to echo what Jeff had said, like, mimicking personalities, right? Like somebody comes in, I'm a high D and high I, which is very unusual, right? To have both. I come in very energized, blah, 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 and I'm working with somebody who might be a doctor or an engineer or something that's very analytical, and maybe something traumatizing happened in their life. And they're like, man, this guy's just too much. Even though I might have all this market knowledge or be the expert.
You are too much.
I can't be too much, right? So, but a high D would love that. Rob would be like, hell yeah, just give me the numbers and move on, get out of my way.
I'm going to pause you right there. Okay. You have the awareness to know that 100%. You may not be everyone's cup of tea.
100%. Okay. 100%. But it also comes down to, like, there's that old saying, people don't know how much you care. I mean, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Correct.
Right? So, like, if Denise comes in, Denise has the S&C and is very warming, very welcoming, and just very like, well, get down, Denise would probably win that. Even though, let's just say in this case, I might be the better fit or vice versa. Right? So I think that is important for those who are starting out, right? Like the fiduciary side, making sure that you're establishing trust and they trust you and they feel comfortable with you.
Yeah, I've had to tell some people, I mean, because obviously I work with agents all the time. I've had to tell some agents, like, hey, like, they come to me, right? And they're coming with, their heart, in their hand. They're like, I keep losing, or I just can't hold on to it. Like, it's there for a moment, then there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect. And I'm on a consecutive series of losing. And I'm like, have you ever considered you might be too hard of a pill to swallow?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've told this to 1 or 2 people that are very mature over the last few months, and they're like, okay, tell me more. And I'm like, no one's saying you're flawed or broken. I'm not going that far. Yeah. I'm just simply saying, for the consumer to consume you, are you toning it down so you're more consumable? Because ultimately you're a product. Like,
that's where the chameleon comes in.
Exactly.
You know what?
And
again, I think at the end of the day, if you just shut the hell up and listen, and
they'll give you the answer.
I tell my agents all the time, man, if I ever hear you guys talk about bedrooms and baths before you're asking where they're from and who their family is. Like, I'm going to give you a sap in the back of the head, man.
You know what I think is crazy?
You better
is
be finding out who the hell you're working with.
Exactly.
Because how are you going to guide them?
One time I asked an agent one time when in a hallway passing, this was a few years ago, it can happen to anybody. Sadly. I was like,
sadly.
Well, yeah, sadly. I was like, hey, congrats on that new listing. Why are they selling?
He didn't know.
It's such a brand new agent. And it's like,
What?
Damn it, boy.
I'm like, you have a listing agreement. They signed it. You took it to market, and you don't know why they're selling. Well, we didn't really discuss much of that. They just wanted to know price and how fast.
Was there a power of attorney?
And I'm like,
involved?
oh, yeah, exactly. And so then I was just like, we need to slow down here. Like,
real quick, I think it's just freaking hilarious, guys. There's 5 Latino men here talking about psyche stuff and fucking communication.
Yeah.
Think about it. Back in the
we would have never discussed this.
Never. My dad, shut the fuck out of here. ¿Pa qué? ¿Pa qué chingados? Like, no, that meant that he's wrong. That's pendejo. It's the way. It's funny because I have my family's in town right now from the valley.
Míralo.
And they would fucking laugh if I told them we did a podcast and we were talking about psyche
Te crees mucho, estás en la tele.
Reading people.
Te crees mucho.
Like, yeah.
You know what's funny? I mean,
Cesar.
so I love this and I hate it. Right? It's a blessing, but it's a curse. A lot of people who know me, jokingly will say like, hey, like, once you meet Jeff, like that dude could sell ice to an Eskimo, right? But I have an extensive social work and psychology background, through school, through college, college. And so, but my point is like, I don't think I might necessarily be good enough to sell ice to an Eskimo. I think I'm good enough to figure out the solution to your problem.
There you go.
And that's what kind of going back to what you're saying, like we're willing to have this conversation about psyche, the id, the ego, the superego, about subliminal messaging, about how we were raised, how we grew up, limiting beliefs and how we see the world, viewpoints and things of that nature. That's why people are inherently hard to deal with. I tell people all the time, real estate is easy. People are hard.
Yes.
People are hard. I don't know if that's the right structure there, but working with people is hard. So
it's you're managing. You're a manager. You're managing people.
Yeah.
So one thing, just to kind of transition to, I mean, if you build relationships, if you could read people, if you could communicate, obviously real estate could be very, you could make a lot of money in real estate. Very lucrative. What's one raw truth about making money in real estate that nobody talks about? Like, what's that one thing? Shit, everyone plays a Gilley. Chinga. What's one raw thing that, I mean, just being honest, because, I've had clients say, like, oh, shit, I saw the HUD statement. I saw how much you're making, but they didn't see the back end, like the taxes, the work, the gas, the time.
What's one thing that what?
That's like a misleading thing. Like, what's one thing that's not
a myth about
the money?
Kind of like that nobody talks about.
Nobody talks about the money.
What do you think?
Yeah. Shoot.
It's a success. First of all, it's a success fee. Okay. We work for free, right? We work for free.
And we hope to get paid.
And we hope to get paid.
That's correct.
That's one thing that everybody misses. Oh man, I saw your closing and I saw this and I saw that.
But don't downplay the work. Because the work isn't going over there and showing a nice little house and this and that.
No,
I mean,
there's so much. There's so much that goes behind it. Is this una chinga? Yeah, it is. And that's one thing that it always gets missed. They always see the end result. They always see the end goal, the picture with the clients, the house, the big key, but they don't see, everything that you went through. Everybody at this table has lost sleep over a closing.
Maxing out credit cards, freaking crying in the middle of the night because you don't know. I mean, it's hard. Tough, dude.
Yeah, it's but nobody talks about that.
The hell out of agents who make a living.
Yeah,
every day doing this because it's a tough business.
It's a success fee. Yeah, if you're not successful, you're not getting paid. You're working for free.
People don't see all the hard work before that paycheck, Rob. Yeah. So people don't realize that we've been working for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, sometimes years on these deals before we get that paycheck. Yeah. So at the end of the day, that $30,000 paycheck could have come out to an equivalent of $5 an hour.
One thing that on our past podcast in LA, we did it with Andres Hoyos, which he's in Miami and in LA. And one thing that he said, it's funny just to hear the perspective of someone like outside of Texas, Latino in the real estate game. And he said, I've gotten used to going to sleep with problems and waking up with problems. And I was like, dude, I never thought about that. Like literally in the real estate, like you fucking go to sleep, like chinga, like, and then in the morning it's right there.
I've adopted a mantra, I guess you could say, that I teach and impress upon all of my agents at my company. I always tell them, keep praying for more problems, because us being problem solvers keeps me paid.
Yep. More problems equals more money.
You know, and so like I always tell them all the time is like, this kind of goes back to like maybe like the commission conversation, because I know a lot of agents, whether they'll admit it or not, most won't admit it because everyone's a tough guy, but agents are scared to approach the worth conversation. Why are you worth 3%, or why are you quoting 5% for your services, or 6%, or whatever the case may be, right? And I was always prepared for that when I was in the trenches selling back in my day. And anyone that would ask me, just like, hey, I see that you're saying that your standard is X amount that you're going to charge to take my listing to the market. May I ask you why so much? Right? And I'm going to tell them, because I get paid only if I get it right for you. If I get it wrong, I'm unemployed.
That's a mic drop right there. Just so everybody knows. That right there. That's your line.
No, not one.
No, Gilley.
Wrong word.
Seriously,
that was the wrong one.
Yeah, there you go.
And then actually,
but really, that is a mic drop. Yeah, that is. If any young real estate agents are listening right now, that's it right there. That's your worth.
That's it.
That's it. That's the question.
I get paid what I get paid.
So we're going back to question one,
because
much.
If I produce and I accomplish your mission, then I was worth every dime. If I get it wrong, I'm unemployed and unpaid. And most people that would like to glamorize of being on our side of the track would never ever give up their salary position and their guaranteed monthly or semi-monthly or every week paycheck to do what we do. Because I mean, thank God all of us have nice pipelines and whatever business deals we're in, but ultimately an agent goes from job to job to job after every closing. An agent closes today, they're unemployed again.
You're unemployed every day.
You're unemployed, and that is not a life for most. I mean, which is why most can't make it. But
what's with 87%?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, the dropout rates is horrendous.
Well, look at last year's stat. I think it was
72%.
72%, 71, 72%.
Of all licenses in the U.S. did not sell a single home.
So
if you could if you could collect 100 agents in any convention room today in any city, only about 20 in a few actually had made money in real estate last year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's insane.
But who made the comment about the HUD, right? You see, look at the HUD and it's like, okay, you made X, Y, and Z, but they're not paying you for the time, they're paying you for the experience, right? All of that experience. So now what used to take us maybe 30 hours on a transaction might take us 3 hours.
We make it look
what
easy.
You're paying for is the expertise.
Yeah, we make it look easy. That's the one thing.
Not my time.
Yeah, everybody here at this table, that we make it look easy, and that's where that doesn't happen to me anymore. I mean, not to say that, like I'm a rock star.
You made it.
You made it.
I made it.
You just had a closing, baby.
Yeah, there it is.
Closing deals right now.
It just funded. There's a funding call.
Can I get Ronni Treviño's famous line about necks and checks? ¿Qué dice? Hold on. What's the chirping thing?
So Cesar is busy slashing necks and cashing checks.
Boom. Boom. Let me take this mic off so I can drop it.
So I know you talked about some of the stuff that kind of pisses us off in the real estate industry, but what's one thing? I mean, I'm just reading the questions here. What's one thing about the real estate industry in general that straight up pisses you off?
I want it.
Like, you
want
it? What's one thing?
I want it.
I'm gonna jump on that one first. Okay,
you sure?
I've got a million, but one that really pisses me off is that I think
don't say his name.
No. The barrier to entry to get a license is absolute horseshit.
Yes, agreed.
If it takes a barber in Texas 1,200 practicum hours before you can get licensed, but it only takes 180 class hours for you to be able to get before you can take a test to get your real estate license, I'm going to tell you right now, like Texas has it all fucked up. And yeah, I'm a broker. I'm a previous broker of the year. I don't give a shit. If you really want to know what I think's wrong with our industry, anybody can get in. Yep. And I don't want to be working with anybody.
No, it dilutes her value.
Pretty good.
How about that one, Gilley?
I love it.
I mean, I'm just going to keep it real. I mean,
fire.
I mean, it's
it dilutes
bullshit.
her value.
It's bullshit.
I don't know which one.
It's bullshit.
What's it?
Hold on. I think this one is.
No. It's this one.
Hold on.
It's this one.
It's bullshit.
You know, the thing that pisses me off is all the fake flexing. Like,
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Agents that are out there fake flexing, they're setting an unrealistic expectation for these agents that are out there,
Big time.
and they're getting discouraged. They're like, man, this guy's saying he made it, but did he really make it? Like, is he just fake flexing on Instagram and then he's making it look easy? Because it's not easy.
The agents fake flexing.
Be humble, and if we can just really let the agents, set them up. Let's prepare them for what they're really going to be encountering, and then set them up for success.
I'm not a fan.
Me off with that.
I'm not a fan of fake it till you make it. Just so you know, just dropping that in there. I'm not a fan of fake it till you make it. A lot of people do live by that mantra: fake it till you make it.
But some don't have a choice.
Yeah, they don't have a choice, and but they're also not willing to put in the work.
Yeah,
they'll keep on faking it.
You know what's funny?
Or depending.
Go ahead.
Or depending on your market, right? So, like, I think of and that 100% not a fan, like, at all, and never been a participate in that. But if you think of, like, Los Angeles, California, New York, which is where a lot of this influence comes from, specifically on TV,
Hollywood, straight up,
all this flash dance stuff, right? Like, literally, the guys going out there are coaching fake it till you make it. I remember Josh Altman when he was here, my name dropped him, right at the luxury summit. He said that's his thing, fake it till you make it, and it still is, right? Like, I mean, I don't think anymore today, but I saw something he posted about the fake watch collection and all that. In Texas, specifically in San Antonio, that wouldn't work in this market, right? Yep. So you got to know your demographic, your audience. People can read through that BS real quick, and it depends on who you're influencing, right? If you're trying to influence another agent, you may have that. But if you're like messing with somebody with real wealth and you're out there flashing and all this stuff, it's like, dude, how much are you really making? And if you're really making that much and you're going in buying a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 watch and a $200,000, $300,000 car, that is dumb.
Very.
Right? But in California or New York, that may be great. Miami, it's like because everybody's making it. Everybody's leasing a car.
You don't know.
So let me.
Okay,
so real quick. So just as a recap. So mine is the barrier to entry for people to get a license. Yeah. Yours is the fake flex. Yours is or was?
I don't know. I just piggybacked on people. I think I piggyback on the fake flex. Yeah.
And I mean that's high up on your list.
No, it's not high. I don't. I just added to it. I don't know if I have something.
I haven't said mine yet.
Okay, what's yours?
So mine, and it's near and dear to my heart because I've been to many a listing appointment where I wasn't the purchasing agent. And you look around and you're like, who the fuck did this? And why the fuck did they do it? Houses falling apart, people crying. Like, I've been there when people are crying, like, what do you mean? What do you mean my house is falling apart? I'm like, it's falling apart. Like, it's literally like peeling at the seams. Like, it's falling apart, ma'am. And you try to find ways. I'm like, well, they gotta be able to go after somebody. The seller's disclosure disclosed everything. The inspector did their job. That leaves one person. Yep. And then you start going through the questions. I just went through it the other day, dude. It brought tears to my eyes because all their savings went into this house. Okay, I would have never even shown the house just from the front picture. I could tell it has the 3 little squares in front of the garage.
Where they did the foundation.
Yeah, where they did the foundation, and I was like, I wouldn't even shown it. The roof looked all jacked up, and I was like, so how, ma'am? I sat her down. I said, ma'am, this doesn't look good. How did this, walk me through it? How did this happen? I mean, the seller disclosure was there. It had everything. The foundation people, they disclosed everything. The inspection disclosed everything. What happened? Well, my agent said the, foundation thing wasn't a big deal.
Are you saying when buyers buy a shitty home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And my agent said, no big deal. Then she showed my inspection to her son, who used to be in roofing, and said that was a good roof. And then the boyfriend showed up with her, and he is a retired electrician, and said all the repairs would be about $150, that we were okay to move forward. Well, guess what? This lady doesn't do this 24/7 like we do. So she went along with it. That house is literally unsellable. Like, she's about to lose. We can sell it. And we are going to sell it. Yeah, but not for what she bought it for. So she's about to lose all those savings. They're going to be wiped out completely. And that's one thing that a lot of agents do not understand. We don't sell homes. We watch over people's money. That's really our job. At the core, we watch over people's money in development and, anything that you're doing, selling a home, buying a home, you name it, we watch over people.
We need to consult them on making the right decision. And if that decision is, hey, we're not going to buy this house because it's all jacked up, then we need to... The fiduciary.
It goes back to the fiduciary.
I mean, one that it kind of goes to that is, we have an office up in Central Texas out by Fort Cavazos, right? So a ton of military deals out there, right? In our agents, we talk about it. It's a very fluid conversation. It's something we talk about all the time. Like, I feel really bad for the military service member who has an agent who will prance them into a new build because of that low interest rate, knowing damn well they're about to get orders to another base within the next 6, 9, 12 months, and they are like literally $20,000 or $30,000 upside down because there's just not enough years in the house for it to for the equity to build up, right? Yep. And so to sell it, like they're at a massive loss, right? So I see that all the time. But I mean, if we're gonna just keep it real, like, that could be considered the easiest commission of all for a realtor, just to walk someone over to a builder, right?
That's what I was
going to say. And so it's about,
Jeff.
like, is the story, does your story fit this situation? Because if not, I probably should be saying, hey, this is a really risky idea.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, you can't stop them ultimately, but you can be an advocate.
They're
and be like,
relying
hey,
on you.
I really don't believe this is wise. And I'm going
But
to tell
to
you why.
Cesar's point, that conversation is probably
not being
never
had.
No.
Not being had.
Because why? Because it's fiesta. It's Friday. I need to close a freaking deal because.
Need
Well,
a
I also
paycheck.
think it's the lack of experience and education, right? So, like, if you just look at rule of thumb, for anybody, it takes 7 years to get out, right? Like, to have some equity in
Break
a normal
even
market.
plus.
In a normal market.
In a normal market.
Right? So, not in a new construction market. If it's a new agent or even somebody who's seasoned, right, that is quick, but if they don't realize, hey, this community has 1,000 homes to be built and it's going to take 10 years, right? Like, regardless of whatever market we're in, like, that builder's always going to win. Yeah. Until the community's built out. And on top of that, how much more undeveloped, like, let's use the South Side. I'm all in on the South Side. Yeah. The South Side has undeveloped land forever. Those of you listening, look at 410 and 1604. You go 410 north to 1604 north, it's completely built out. You go 410 south to 1604 south, it's like untapped. Empty. There's some things coming in.
Crickets.
But if you're buying down there right now, right, you want to make sure you're buying right. Because you're going to have builders that are going to be able to build for the next 40, 50 years of our life. Like, for sure.
Yep.
So you better make sure you're not buying it. I don't know. I don't want to shoot my... Anyways, like, at a very high price.
Let me ask you this, and this could make you sound like, very, very expert-ish here. So is there something wrong with the land down there, or is it the actual demographic? Because there's some sides, like Mission del Lago. Yeah. Mission del Lago shit, bro. Like, the fucking land there, everything's shifting. Is it the actual, like, infrastructure of the property, or is it the demographics, the market? Like, why isn't developers going down there? And I think this is a good, from someone that's from the South Side, to say.
So developers are flocking down there right now, right? Like, right now. But I think over the years, not necessarily the soils, right? So the soils, just, and let's look at downtown. Let's look at 35.
You can look at Shirt, Cibolo, Converse. That was old farming.
That's farmland.
Very unstable.
That's exactly right. That's farmland. There's caliche clay, worst soil in America, up and down 35 through Terrell Hills. Terrell Hills was the most expensive neighborhood in San Antonio at one point. So it's not the soil, right? It was, for a long time, the demographic and the average household income. Right, so very low. So when we were down there, it was like $28,000. Right, so if you're a commercial,
I'm going to say that I'm going to dumb that down for somebody who maybe didn't catch that.
Yep,
there wasn't enough money in it.
That's exactly right. Right, so you're looking in the commercial development side is they're really data driven. Right. So you're looking at the demographics. Most of this money is institution type money. It's coming in and just says, hey, this makes no sense.
Right.
Right. You have X, Y, and Z. You have $28,000 household income, etc. But if you are very in tune with San Antonio, the culture, the demographic, like that Hispanic population, blue collar, hardworking, a lot of it is not traditionally like putting money in the bank, saving money, right? Like they are buying, well, I'd say saving money, but they're saving money and they're buying everything cash. Yep. But it has proven the developers that have gone down there have hit home runs. You look at like with Brook City Base, what they're charging, like price per square foot, phenomenal numbers. Yep. You look at the market rent at Brook City Base for every single apartment complex they went to the first three, hit it like out the park. 96% occupancy at one point. That's crazy for multifamily.
And this is what we call them the human calculator.
The build to rent market over there, I don't think Brooks has anything under $2,200 per month, and there's 450 homes going up.
There you go.
There's strong demand. Yeah. Go look at all the bars, the restaurants, they're slam packed any time of the day.
Lower taxes too.
And the only reason is because it's underserved. There's not enough of it.
Big shout out
when
to
I was
Cevichero.
down there, so all
Looking for
the
sponsors.
Southside community, like when we were down there was nothing but taquerias at every single corner. Yeah. The first restaurant we got was a Chili's at South Park Mall.
Yeah.
Literally the first. And that was like a huge deal.
That was date night for Gilley.
No, that was that was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Both my sister and brother worked there, actually.
There you go.
I think, no, all of them, all three of them. Both my sisters and my brother.
I'll hook you up with salsa and shit.
Yeah. I want those big beers. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. So
one of the things that we talked about is like the whole development thing down on the south side. I mean, I've been seeing that a lot of local developers, because a lot of out-of-state people are data-driven. How do we change that, though? How do we bring more local people into actually buying, investing, and developing? Like, what's something that you see, like, in your honest opinion?
what's
like,
important?
What's holding people
important?
back?
What's important to people?
I think education and information.
There you go.
Right. So if we give them that, we give them the data, we prove it out, and it's one thing to tell them, right? I'm going to go back to like what a lot of us real estate agents do is buy real estate. It's the best investment like you can make, and et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Like land, whatever. They're not making more of it, but are you actually doing it?
Yeah.
Have you gone through it? Right? Like, have you, like, what steps have you, are you seasoned in this area? And for those of us that are, that's where we educate, right? We don't just tell them, it's like, hey, this is a proven concept. This recipe works. Like, hey, why don't we partner together? Why don't we do it together?
I
think we need to also be confident enough to know, Gilley, to your point, is that if that isn't my lane and I'm not an expert in land development, then I'm going to call my buddy Gilley. And I'm gonna talk to him, or maybe he's a better fit.
Yeah,
we need to also be, I guess, what's the word? Confident enough. To know where our strengths lie.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to say this, so it may come across a little rough, but we have to, as a culture, the raza, right, the cultura, we have to start making the new flex. Education.
Oh, yeah.
And we need to make the new flex leverage.
Yep.
And we need to make the new flex equity and, assets. Yeah. And we need to start having these conversations, right? And I just feel, and I'm going to use from like the Webster's dictionary, like the dictionary definition, like there's just so much ignorance.
Yeah.
There's so much ignorance about what's cooler to have than you Dodge Ram Charger or a house. Like...
Yeah.
None of us here at this table, and I mean this with all due respect, are more special than the next guy.
Yeah.
We just made a decision that we were okay not taking that vacation, not upsizing the car too soon, not putting rims on the brand new truck, and shit like that.
Yeah.
Because somehow, some way, I'm not saying we all got it right out of the chute, because I'm on. I think all of us didn't, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, we got the memo at some point, and then we were like, you know what? If we want to be great fucking men and great husbands and great fathers and great providers, we better fucking become homeowners.
Yeah.
And we need to start there. And I think people don't know how to fucking humble themselves, because there's a plenty of starter homes in San Antonio that plenty of people can afford. They just don't like where it's at.
I think,
and my family came from Carrizo Springs when they kind of migrated halfway and then eventually into San Antonio. And then their first house, my grandmother and my aunts and uncles, their first house was right there by South San High School in the 50s. Okay. Wow. And so it was like a little 700 square foot tiny house. You know what I'm saying? And so
but it was theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I have to say, like, thank God to my grandmother, who understood that owning it was better than renting it. Yeah. Even if it was a piece of little shit house.
Education.
But it was the house that...
Education is the key word.
But,
I mean, I'm going to be straight up with you. I feel like the people that nowadays everybody has a platform. And then I feel like the wrong people are pushing the wrong things. I mean, we were at a seminar the other day, and the coach literally said, if you want to make it in real estate, don't worry about real estate, worry about sales.
Oh,
Like,
that
how
one
the
killed
fuck
me,
does,
dude.
how does
That killed me.
go?
That bothers me.
That
Because
killed
I'm
me.
saying education, but I feel like the only people that could educate are the people that've been through it.
And you know what's
and the
funny?
ones that've been through it either are too busy, they're
Yep.
fucking gone, or
Yep.
they're too chingon. They don't want to. They don't want to share their fucking secrets.
And two people heard that right now.
Yeah.
And one of them says you're right, and one of them says you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell the person that's listening that thinks that we're in cells, you're abso-fucking-lutely wrong.
100%.
Because I've never had to sell a house in my life.
Nope.
I've never had to sell a house in my life. I've had to help you when you called me and you told me y'all were pregnant. I've had to help you when you called me and you told me you were divorcing.
Yeah.
I've had to help you when you called me and you told me you were dying.
Yeah.
I didn't sell a fucking thing. And so, like, I think we all probably are cut from that same cloth.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's a sales model.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a sales process. I'm not that stupid and I'm not that naive. But ultimately, like, kind of going back to, like, we just need more education and we need to make the flex, like, home ownership, right? Like, we all know, like, and people listening to this may not know, and you should know if you're a licensed real estate agent. You know, the net worth of a renter today, based on multiple studies, you can Google it or AI it if you don't think I know what the hell I'm talking about, is about $10,000. The net worth of a renter in the United States of America is about $10,000.
And what is
and
it
the
of a
net
homeowner?
worth of a homeowner is close to $250,000.
Yep.
So stop telling me that America's against you. I don't give a shit what side you fucking vote on.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, when you buy, you're the landlord, and landlord doesn't have a side of the aisle. Be a fucking owner.
Yeah.
Because that's going to change your life, your children's life. It may not change yours.
Yeah.
But you know what? What's our objective? To help our children do better than us.
Yeah.
And then to teach our children what to do so they can eventually become a Gilley Mendoza and own 4,900 pieces of property. Okay?
God willing.
God
it will
willing,
happen.
that's right.
I'm just speaking into existence.
You know, but
and if I don't, my kids will.
That's
the
right.
plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan.
That's right, because
Yeah.
that's your conversation
That's
at the dinner
100%. Yeah,
table.
that's right.
Not the fucking, oh, I need to go get the latest fucking pandas. Like,
What's a panda?
Like, you know, I'm
What's
saying,
a panda?
you know,
that sounded pretty fucking funny.
you know, I need the new Air Force Ones or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
fuck your Air Force Ones, man. You know what? I grew up on the fucking the Air Jordans
Payless.
and fucking Payless.
Payless, baby.
You know, and kind of going back to the fake. What did you call it? The fake reels or what?
The fake flex?
The fake flex.
flex.
You know, the fake flex. Like the people that are listening to this that actually do the fake flex, like you're fucked up. And I'm telling you this right now because marketing and advertising works, right? And so remember, maybe I'm kind of dating myself here, but y'all will understand. Do you remember back in the day, D Brown won the slam dunk contest and he had the Reebok pumps?
Oh,
okay,
pumps.
okay, y'all remember that?
I wanted
Okay,
a pair so
all right,
bad.
because if you had the Reebok pumps, Cesar Amezcua, who's 5'7.5" on a good day with botas, was gonna fucking be able to slam. Does that make sense?
I did.
And so guess who owned himself a pair of pumps? My dad. That was like the sexiest shoe my dad ever bought me.
Yeah.
I pumped those bitches up in the front yard, and I'm like, hell yeah. I was shopping in the Husky department when I was in the 5th grade, and I was pumping those bad boys up, and I'm like, here we go, baby. And I was like I was sticking my tongue out like I was Michael Jordan. It was like dribble.
picturing
dribble,
Jeff, I was just
dribble,
being
right? And I might have gotten like my fucking Kool-Aid and splashed my face. And like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then when I went to go do it, I got like 2 inches of vert, and I'm like, bro, like they lied to me.
I'm actually
And so-
picturing it right now.
But the,
I know,
but the
the
fake,
Kool-Aid in the face.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just did I set that up well?
Yep,
But
you
the
did,
fake
100%,
flex, but the fake
100%.
flex makes it look like that's
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be that person
100%.
because I had different skills.
Yep.
And so I could either live in fantasy land.
Yep.
Or I could wake the fuck up and say, you know what, Jeff, you better get smart because you don't have a vert.
Yep.
You better get smart and educate your brain because that you can do.
Yep.
Is ultimately. I'll get off my soapbox.
No, I love that, but I think the marketing attention piece, right? Like looking at that, it all works, right?
Yeah.
You bring the
Yeah.
attention, you bring best known beats best, which is why all of
What was that?
being
Say it again?
best known beats best,
Best
right?
known?
beats best.
Okay.
If you're the best known, you're
Best
out
known.
there constantly.
Yeah.
Best
you
known
could beat
beats
the best,
best.
because the best is not out there.
agree.
Right? They're usually undercover. They're undercover meaning that they're just not putting themselves. They're so laser focused on their business.
Yeah.
But there's only so far you can scale that if you're not putting it out to the world.
Yeah.
Right? If you're the local expert and you're all in and you're just worried about San Antonio and being hyper local, you don't even need Instagram. You don't need Facebook. You don't need any kind of online marketing. You can just be here. But the world is not going to know you. If you're trying to scale and be all over, that's a different story. But at some point, your bluff gets called.
Yeah.
Right? You called all the attention. You got all the attention. You got all the leads. And then now you're in front
They
of
call it all the smoke.
somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about. They're like, you're full of shit.
full of shit.
Get out of my way.
Yeah.
Right? You might win a few over that are not as educated. They're looking up to you, right? And maybe you're giving them the wrong
there's
advice.
a lot. People don't read anymore, so there's a lot of that.
But the point is that the marketing does work.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, I agree.
but you have to
back it up.
You have to back it
You
up
have to back it
100%.
up.
That's right.
100%.
We go back full circle.
Yep.
Fiduciary.
You'll have a visual of
I always wonder if
Fiduciary.
those people are that confident in person as they are on the fake flexing, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that knowledge that Jeff was talking about, Jeff was talking about the importance of us being educated.
Yeah.
And if we don't take the time to get that education, become knowledgeable, and guide our clients, then we're not going to be successful. Because knowledge equals sales, sales equals money.
Know your shit. That's it.
Know
It's that
your
simple.
shit.
Know your shit. That's something that was taught to me a long time ago when I started selling, new builds. That the guy was, Jeff Porter. Big shout out to Jeff Porter. He's manager of DN Harper, he's a
Total banker.
Coldwell Banker. He doesn't manage DN Harper. She manages herself. Okay, I'm pretty sure she manages herself. But he's one of the managers over at Coldwell Banker, and he was working new home sales.
You know Jeff Garza too.
I do know Jeff Garza. He made me breakfast one time. That's right. We won't say what happened before that. And he was very he just flat out said, like, know your shit. You want to sell my product? You got to know what the windows are made out of. You need to know what the insulation is made out of. You need to know how we build, our time frame. All these things you have to know in order to be able to sell our product. And that just goes with everything. And that was very early in my career. So I was able to, just branch out from there and just go to every builder. Like, how do you build?
Yeah.
What do you do?
You know how an agent gets there? Is they can admit and have awareness early on that they don't know anything.
Oh, yeah.
And most agents refuse to admit they don't know a damn thing about this business.
Had a great transaction with a rookie agent on her first transaction ever.
Wow.
$600,000, and the first thing she says is, "I have no idea what I'm doing. This is my first transaction.
I respect that.
I respect that.
100%.
I'd rather know that you don't know so I can help you.
I wish I was that agent my first transaction. 'Cause
Oh,
I was too embarrassed to say that I was a new agent, and unfortunately
I
I
did
had
it all
to
the
write a lot
time,
of
dude.
checks.
Yeah.
I did it all the time. I mean, people would just, back in the day, like 08, 09, people would be like, "Oh, it's okay, mijo, come here.
Yeah.
I'll take care of you. It's okay, mijo, come here. Oh, you forgot to put in your commission. It's okay. I'll put it in for you. It's all right." Yeah, that's how they were. Everybody was like super nice. But you came across as like, "Look, I don't know what I'm doing, and we all want to close this deal. My people want to buy it. Your people want to sell it. You want to get paid. I want to get paid."
That's actually a great thing.
Yeah.
I'll kind of tie that one up. It's okay for us to not have to be combative with the other agent.
No.
We don't have to fight every fucking agent on every deal. Like, y'all know the agent I'm
What you
talking about.
Willis?
Well, I think
You
it's
know,
just a
yeah.
flex.
What you talking about, Willis?
It's like the alphabet soup agent, right?
Yeah.
GRI, ABC, MRP, CSI, CIA, DEA, like
DEI.
okay, we get it. We get it
That's another
that
story.
you've had a lot of time to go invest in knowledge, but ultimately, like, how do you behave? Because I'd like to see
Snobby as fuck.
Yeah, I'd like to see the certification for I behave professionally.
That's you.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, I'm telling you.
So, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's a
Yes,
lot
I
of
know.
fighting going on. I'm like, man, chill the fuck out.
Please.
Because ultimately, our fiduciary, I'm not a principal. You're not the buyer, and I'm not the seller.
No.
We're their mouthpiece. But ultimately, sometimes we as the mouthpiece have to go tell them, hey, you need to chill.
Yeah.
Because you're about to put yourself in
But
a
when
bad
did
situation.
You know when this started? And it's fucking.
I know
it's
when-
funny,
I know
it
what
all
you're gonna
looks
say.
around- It all starts around when the uneducated people came in, because an educated agent on both sides
Don't have that problem.
They don't have, the seller and the buyer win, and I mean that's what it's all about. And you're right, because a lot of agents put themselves in the transaction when you're not a fucking, just like title isn't, just like the lender isn't. It's not about you.
That's
and I think
right.
that's a lot
Exactly.
but it's like it all comes back to the education.
And that's when you realize who the real pros are in town. You know?
Remove your emotions.
Exactly.
And ego is not your amigo.
Damn.
I think too many people get very
Hold on. With that,
emotional.
we're going to take a little drink. Hold on.
All I have to do is give them
Your ego?
It's not your amigo.
Your ego is not your ego.
Never heard that.